Hawaiian hops while surfing 10-foot swells. They hang glide with iguanas, always looking for a clue. Discovered in a castle below a cactus in Peru. They'll lead us on excursions through some wild and distant lands, and you might be surprised when relic ends up in your hand. And you'll say, Eureka, Eureka. What's your shout out really big when God's words where you dig? Eureka, Eureka. What's that discovery you made? God's love will make you say, Eureka! Explorers and adventurers, each one of us is stirred. Now we'll all take on the quest to make discoveries in the Word. Eureka, Eureka. What's your shout out really big when God's word is where you dig? Eureka, Eureka. What's that discovery you made? God's love will make you say, Eureka! You'll say it and you'll sing it, 'cause God's love will really bring it, and you won't be able to hold it, and you'll have to shout again and again. You'll say it and you'll sing it, 'cause God's love will really bring it, and you won't be able to hold it, and you'll have to shout again and again. Eureka, Eureka. What's your shout out really big when God's word is where you dig? Eureka, Eureka. What's that discovery you made? God's love will make you say, Eureka!
Let's remember our Remember verse together. This verse teaches us about what God can do. God is able to do far more than we could ever ask for or imagine. He does everything by His power that is working in us. Ephesians 3:20.
Hey, great job! Let's do it again.
God is able to do far more than we could ever ask for or imagine. He does everything by His power that is working in us. Ephesians 3:20.
Hey guys, good morning. Well, no, wait a minute. It's afternoon. A little different today. Glad to see you. Hope that, well, I can't see you. That's wrong. Glad you can see me. How's that? Okay. I hope you're doing well. Miss you bunches, and we're going to have a good story today. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get going. All right. If you have your papers and you look carefully, I think you will easily find the word today. It is down here at the end of this funny dude. And it's altar, A-L-T-A-R. And I bet some of you know what an altar is. But in the Bible and in the olden days, an altar was a table that they would use and place an offering on it, that they were given to God, a way to worship God. And that could have been anything from animals to all kinds of things that would go on this table. So, but in our churches, we have an altar up front, and I think you know where that is. And it's a place that we can pray. And we use that altar a lot. You can go there anytime, any way you want to. You can go there. You don't have to be asked to go. You can just go and kneel down and talk to God. That's an awesome place to go. All right. Been there a lot. Okay. And our Bible verse is new, I believe, today. It is God is able to do far more than anyone could ask for or imagine, and He does everything by His power that is working in us. And I know that you've done that in the motions, but that's a real good verse, that God is able to do anything. All right, so our story today is about another king, and his name is Ahab. This king worshipped not our God that we worship to in heaven. It's a statue. Can you think about that? That you'd want to worship a statue standing there? Well, his name is Baal, and a lot of the people in this time in our story, you'll hear there's 400 some odd prophets that, bow down to this guy. We're going to start up here. I'm going to try to use my cards. Hopefully it will make some sense. Some of these pictures are kind of weird, but hope you can deal and listen to this story because it's kind of neat. Okay, so here we go. This is King Ahab. Okay, doesn't he look like he's just thinks he knows everything? Okay, well that's King Ahab. All right, and if you remember in our story last week, Elijah and the ravens and that, well, Elijah's in our story today too, and he's older, and he is in our story. And first, King Ahab was worshiping all these false gods, and Baal was one of them. And God, our God, was very sad that the Israelites had forgotten him, and they weren't paying attention to him, and they weren't praying to him. So God sent a prophet, and we know him, Elijah, to speak to King Ahab. Okay? And Elijah told Ahab to gather all the people of Israel together to witness a challenge between the gods of Baal and God. So we're going to find out about that challenge, okay? At the end of the test, whichever God, Elijah's God, or the statue that this guy prayed to, had completed the task, would end up being the true God. So, King Ahab, he had had a bunch of people that came. I forgot to add that, okay, that he talked to, but it only shows a 5. Remember I tell you that, they only have room for like 5 or 4, but think of loads and loads and loads, like in the hundreds of people, okay? All right, so King Ahab had 450 prophets who worshiped this statue. I wish they'd kind of given us a picture of that, but they didn't. But I looked up one, and it had kind of horns and everything on it. It was kind of weird looking. I wouldn't want to pray to it, but these guys thought, no, they're going to pray to it. Okay, so Elijah was the only prophet who followed God. And Ahab believed his challenge would be very easy. Okay, he believed the power of this Baal idol would win over Elijah's God. So Elijah would lose, he was going to win. So Elijah explained the challenge. The prophets of Baal and Elijah would each build an altar, and they would be given the same supplies. Once everything was ready, they would take turns praying to either Baal or to the God. The God that answered the prayers by lighting an altar on fire would be determined to be the real, true God. So, this is the altar, and they've got it already set up. Now it's made of stone, and then they had wood, and they put their offering on top, which was some type of animal, and they built this all together, okay? So they each built one. So we're going to move these over. We're going to put that right in the middle there, okay? All right, now, the prophets of Baal went first, and they set up their altar, and they prepared their offering, and they got it all together, the stone, the wood, the offering. And they began to sing and dance around the altar. Now, I think I would have liked to sing that. Well, here's these crazy dudes dancing around. They look more angry than they do happy, but they called out to their god of Baal, to the gods of Baal. I guess it was lots. And from morning till noon, they just kept going around this altar, round and round and round the altar, praying. Well, they looked pretty ridiculous. Elijah began to tease them. he said, you guys look really silly. And he told them, keep doing that. He was just having fun with them. He said, keep dancing, keep praying, keep crying out loud. And the prophets of Baal were so wound up, they just kept doing that over and over and over. But nothing happened. Elijah continued to tease them, and he told them, your gods must be on vacation or too busy to help, because you get nothing here. Nothing's happening. And the prophets of Baal, that's probably why they look like that. They probably were getting upset, but they still kept dancing around and couldn't get anything to work. Nothing, no fire, nothing. And the prophets of Baal tired out even, and but still the gods of Baal did not light the altar on fire, and they were very upset. Finally, it was Elijah's turn, and he prepared his altar. He got his stones, he got his wood, he got his offering. He even dug a ditch at the bottom, and nobody could understand why he was doing that. And he also did something very odd. He ordered 4 large buckets of water to be dumped on top of the wood. Now, they only put 3 here, so they must be using one at the time when they did this. But they got the jugs of water, and he ordered them to dump it all on top of this. Now, why would he want to put water on top of that? Because, let's see, he ordered this. It doesn't seem right, does it? Because when we put water on top of wood, what happens? It's certainly not going to light. How many times do we want to have a cookout or something and we have a fire, want to cook some hot dogs or marshmallows, and if it's rained, we can't get it started, can we? So, well, he doused it. He not only sent the 4, he asked for more, and he did it more, and there was water everywhere. It even filled up the ditch on the bottom, and people were like, what is going on? How is it going to burn? He's going to lose for sure. Elijah ordered all this to happen, and by the time Elijah was ready to pray, his altar was soaked, completely soaked. It would be impossible for his thing to catch on fire. Elijah began to pray, and he thanked God for his faithfulness in the past, and he prayed to God that God would show his power today. He prayed that God's actions would move people to turn back and worship him. And immediately, the altar lit on fire. It lit so good. It was torched up really good. And the crowd was completely shocked. How did that happen? This was impossible. Now, Elijah, he smiled. He was like, yea, God. And God was the one true God, the living God. God is the only one to be worshipped. The fire completely dissolved the whole altar. There was nothing left, just the flames. The rocks, the wood, the sacrifice, the water, everything was gone. It was completely gone. And they were so amazed at what God had done. And they listened to him as he kept saying that God was the true God. And the crowd believed, and they turned away from Baal and King Ahab, and they turned toward Elijah to listen more about how to follow God and turn from their evil ways, and to listen and to come to know God as their Savior. And that is just an amazing story. And what it tells me is that God can do anything. It seemed impossible to us. How is it going to burn up rock and water and all that? But God came through and said, look, I can do anything I want, anytime I want, anywhere I want. And he does. And if we look and we trust him, he will show us. And I think Elijah really showed the King Ahab and all the people there, and that's why they turned away from that stupid statue and followed God. So keep following God, it will not let you down. God will not let you down. And I just want to, want you to realize that. And I know you're young and that, but you can know God really and follow Him. And as you get older, things will get better if you keep trusting in God. Okay? It's God who keeps us steady, not the church all the time. We follow God. And if we follow God, you're going to win. Okay? All right. Let's pray. All right. Dear Jesus, thank you for your love. Thank you for your amazing power and the ability to do anything that we know that you will do, anything you say you will, and that we need to trust you and not doubt. And we need to lean on you more each day, and we thank you for that. Be with each of these boys and girls. Have them keep you in their hearts. Have them love you and constantly follow you each day, Lord. And they will not lose. They will win all the time. And I thank you for that. Thank you for this week. We pray that your blessing will be on us. Watch over them. Keep them safe. In thy name I ask it. Amen. Cool story.